If I was like a supervillain, I could probably be a really dangerous person, right? But like, I don't consider myself the hero or the villain. I consider myself the bystander who does the right thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about it, is that like, I know for a fact that I have the power to do the right thing, and there's not an extra hoop that I have to jump through if I use my platform to do it.
Oh, get ready.
Kind of shook. Like, I'm sweating a little bit. Yeah,
Those are the fake questions. All right, ready? In 3, 2. You guys ready? All right. And 3, 2. Outlets and publications are extremely difficult to run. You have so many that have integrity issues. You have so many that are really good for the soul. You have so many that people rely on. And it's extremely hard to run, especially if you're the founder. Today, we have Audacity Magazine's owner, co-founder, Jessica Wise here. And she's going to talk to us about how she started and how it's going. Because I want to know. I want to know how it's going. So clink it up, Jessica Wise.
Thank you for
Appreciate
having me.
you, for all we know. Okay. So first things first, I have to know.
Yes.
And the audience has to know.
Okay.
Where are you from? Give me the background story.
Oh, God. Okay. So I was born here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
But I was a military kid. And so my dad actually got moved after he finished medical school. He got moved to Fort Benning, which is right outside Columbus, Georgia.
Yeah.
So that's where I ended up growing up. They actually really liked the town. It was all cute and suburban and everything. And they were like, oh, let's stay here. And I'm like, why? I'm 3 years old, by the way. I was very expressive.
Oh,
I was
okay.
3 going on 30.
Interesting.
Yeah, you have a little girl now. Get ready for that. Like 3 going on 30. But yeah. So like that's where I grew up. Let's see. As far as like my background goes and everything like that, I have a master's in communications. Okay. I went to Agnes Scott for my undergrad.
I don't meet a lot of people that go
Yeah.
there. That's cool. Okay.
It's a very small pool. I think when I was going there, it was maybe 800 people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 800 people going to Agnes Scott when I was there. So it's very, very small. The campus is literally like a mile-long square.
And for those people that don't know, it's an all-women's school.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Cool. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But I went there and got my master's in creative writing. Actually did a study abroad in Milan at the Università Cattolica. Actually, one of my friends that I made in that program is also here. She's off camera, obviously, but she's here with me today. But yeah, I did that for a little bit, and I also doubled my in theater and dance because I'm an actor as well. And then I went to Georgia State. I was it's a funny story. My parents really pushed me to go to Northwestern for grad. I got into the Medill School of Journalism at Northwestern. Okay. And I did get a scholarship, but I also got a scholarship to Georgia State in their communications master's program, and they covered my full tuition, whereas Northwestern did not.
Hey,
so
come on, it's not hard.
I was like them on good times. I was like, I'm staying right here.
We're not math majors, but
exactly.
you know,
like free is free and free and free.
Free
so that's where I ended up going, and I actually around that same time booked my first major acting gig. Okay. So yeah, I booked A Raisin in the Sun. I was playing Benitha at a community theater up in North Cross, and I will say it's one of the very last times I ever worked for free, and I was only 22. Never had to work for free as an actor ever again. That was super exciting. And from there, after I graduated, then we had a nice little, this was really fun. I had a nice, I'm jumping around so much in my story because we need to talk about how I got to Audacity to begin with. Yeah. So I was a creative writing major in college, and I was a communications major in grad school, right? So while I'm doing all this, I ended up getting an internship at a magazine here in town. It was a women's magazine for women in business. I became an intern there, got my first publishing there, and moved up the ranks between then and my time in grad school to become an associate editor for intern money. But I had a title. I had a really great title. Right. And that is actually where I met originally Audacity's other co-founder. Now it's just me. I'm the only founder left. Right. But I met my co-founder while working that job. I actually hired her as the next intern. Wow. Okay. Yeah, she's a little bit younger than me. I hired her as the next intern. And from there, we kind of were just working the magazine, doing a lot of like the groundwork there for some of the programs they were developing, and they were interested in developing a program for millennials, and asked us to spearhead this program. And they wanted us to do it in like an event format, like an event and content format. And so we had put a plan together and everything. And now, mind you, I'm doing all this for a greater caveat. I'm doing all this while finishing up my master's, being a working actor, and looking for a job because my master's is coming to a close. And at the time, I was very unsuccessful in finding a job.
It's tough, man.
2018 was not fun. We'll say that 2018 was just not. It was just not a good time. So we're doing all this, and then they're asking us to put this program together and everything. And from there, we kind of realized that it was a bigger beast than what it was going to be. So we went back to corporate and we were like, hey, you know, like, we want to do this, but this is a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of hours, and we would like some skin in the game at this point. Which, you know, we thought was perfectly reasonable to request, because what they were asking us to do was make really what would be like C-level decisions for an entire entity of an already operating train.
Right.
Like, they wanted us to build another car for the train. So you're like, that's cool. We'd like some skin in the game. Like, what's the situation? And we were only offered 21% apiece. And if we were to leave the company, we would have to forfeit those shares back to the company. So we had no buyout option. I went back, I asked for buyout option, and was told that I was a crazy and unreasonable millennial. Yeah. Fine, right? We gotta love it. We gotta love it. And so I was like, you know, I'm not even requesting 50-50. Like, well, I am requesting 50-50. I wasn't requesting 50 for myself, though. I requested 25-25 for my partner and I, and then 50% for corporate. And better buyout option instead of forfeiting shares if we were to leave. And it just did not go that way. Now, mind you, at this point, I'm extra hungry. I'm extra desperate, because at this point I have graduated. I have graduated grad. My partner has graduated undergrad, and we are making $12 an hour.
Gotta make a move.
Yeah. So we're like, listen, like, it's not realistic for us to be working for this company in this capacity when it's not sustainable. We're like, it was already a setup for us to force our hand to not be able to have a buyout option for the program to begin with. And so they're like, okay, well, like, y'all can do this if you want to, but you can't do it without us. Like, it won't be successful without our backing, without our resources and everything like that. We're like, okay, that's cool. We respect our differences. We're going to just quietly exit. Please sign this MOU. Like, we're going to leave. And so at this point, again, I'm still unemployed. So I end up back in Columbus, Georgia, in my childhood bedroom of my parents' house, which that's a whole deep dive within itself. But not said that I had a bad experience or anything. It was more internal. My parents are great people. But from there, I spent that entire year between 2018 and 2019 teaching Pure Barre in the mornings, teaching dance in the afternoons, and going to rehearsal at night. And in those little in-betweens, basically from about like 11 a.m. till like 4 when I had to go teach my kids, I was at my desk in my childhood room building Audacity.
Wow.
And got a full-time job in 2019, moved back to Atlanta, launched the magazine the next month.
Okay. And that's been running
and the rest is history.
No, but that's you know, people always like talk about the end result, but it's really the journey that's the best part.
Yeah.
So, and it's been running ever since.
I'm sorry, that was like a really like long-winded way of telling that story.
No, but it's a good story.
Like,
it's a good story. We're going to touch on that because it sounds like a movie, but we're going to touch on it later.
Hey, it's Ms. Vame, music producer from Sacramento, California. For over a decade, I've been creating beats and collaborating alongside some amazing artists. I'm proud to say that I'm a part of Timbaland's Beat Club, an incredible experience that's allowed me to explore my passion and creativity even further at the highest level. level. If you're looking for some hip hop, trap beats, smooth R&B, or even pop, I'm your girl. So let's connect. You can find me on Instagram at Ms. Vane Productions. I'd love to hear more about your upcoming project, and I'd love to collaborate with you.
So there was an interview that you did where you mentioned Audacity creating a voice for underrepresented people. Is that something that you...
Oh, did I say that?
Always. Is that something that you guys strive to do? Because when you go on the website, there's a lot of books that people have written and stuff. What is the theme of Audacity to you?
I would say the theme. Oh, I love that. I mean, I would say the theme is within itself. The theme is literally audacity. It's being audacious. It's being bold, and doing so no matter how different you are than your typical, corporate person.
Right.
My ex-business partner and I, neither of us are white or male or rich or, any of those things. We're not even tall. Right. I'm a short girl. Nothing about us would scream let these girls run a magazine, And I should say let these women run a magazine because we're already little girls to everybody else, right? So, but we noticed that there was such a pattern of colorism and ageism, especially in these industries, even in media. And we wanted to look to change that. I never liked the idea that you have to just take an ass kicking for the first 20 years of your career before someone really gives you a chance and lets you, try things and take the lead on things. I think everyone, no matter how old they are, offers something, and that's the theme of Audacity. Is we're not going to just write people off because they don't have enough experience, or because they're young, or because they don't look professional, which is also a bunch of bullshit. What is the professional look? So that would definitely be our thing. We want to amplify voices that are underrepresented.
Yeah. See, so you did say it.
Probably said it.
Possibly,
I definitely feel it and believe it. I was like, damn, did I say that?
What do you, with everything that you do, because you do Hot Take Tuesdays. I've seen those.
Love the Hot Take Tuesday.
Yeah, and they're very timely. But you do those, the social media, you wear so many different hats. What do you enjoy the most about Audacity? What you do?
Ooh, I mean, I am now, I wouldn't say I'm a party of one because I do have a team now, but my co-founder stepped down in 2021, at the end of 2021. So as far as balancing, wait, what was the question again? Because I already
as far as the operations, what is your favorite thing to do?
My favorite thing to do.
Social media? Do you like to update the website? Do you like to interview? What's your thing?
Honestly, so two favorite things. One is something that I pretty much never get to do anymore, which is actually writing. I love that I can create the work that I want on my terms, and that there's not somebody looming over me being well, that doesn't make sense, and that's not good, and not I was no, this is a good story, and I'm printing it, and I'm publishing it. So I would say
who's
that's
the boss?
Me.
Exactly.
It's me. Hi. But yeah, so I would say that's my favorite part. I don't get to do it often because I'm doing everything else, so I don't get to write as much as I would like to.
Right.
But that would be one. And then the other, honestly, is seeing the connections and the friendships that form just from being in our subscription team or within the events. I've seen people literally become friends just by coming to Audacity events. People have become friends. People have made these really great $1,000-something collaborations, and these are small business owners and everything. Everybody's looking to genuinely collaborate. So a $500 deal is a huge deal to these people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's a big deal to me.
Yeah.
It's a huge deal to people who are really just kind of getting started and looking for something a little bit more affordable, something that's going to be genuine, as just a little bit of a hand up.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. So, you have Audacity. What are the true values? I know you said to amplify voices, but do they coincide with your own personal beliefs?
Yes, 1,000%. Yes, absolutely.
It's a good one to have. It's interesting because when you think about amplifying voices, there's so many different ones. There's so many different stories out there. Is there one that kind of sticks out to you that you've interviewed? Because you interview a lot of authors.
I do. I interview authors. I interview business owners. Yeah. Whose story stuck out the most to me? It was actually in 2020.
Okay.
During the resurgence of BLM. I call it BLM 2020. Pretty sure that, I think everyone calls it that probably, but I would say that. So there was a young man in Omaha, Nebraska. His name was James Skurlock, and he was protesting that day on behalf of Black Lives Matter, and there was a, I don't know if I want to go so far as to call him a white supremacist, but he was definitely a jerk. Okay. He was definitely a jerk.
Fair enough.
Yeah, like, for lack of a better term, he was definitely a jerk. But he was murdered. He was murdered by this guy while trying to protect others. And I watched the footage. This man, and James Skurlock was only 20 years old, but the guy like slammed him to the ground, breaking his clavicle before shooting him.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's on camera. It's got eyewitnesses and everything like that. There's audio, all of it. And it wasn't getting as much coverage as some of the other stories that were happening around that time because he was out protesting because of the George Floyd situation. And some kind of skirmish happened to where this young man was killed by this white man who had gone completely nuts. And it wasn't being talked about enough, but I was connected to someone who knew the murderer personally. Wow. And like had several interactions with him where like, you know, he had to record it and everything. He was like, you know, all I'm saying is this was preventable. This guy had like a whole arsenal of weaponry. He was an ex-Marine, probably had a lot of PTSD and everything. Mm-hmm. But in addition to that, like this person was dangerous and had behaved in ways that were dangerous. Mm-hmm. Like there was history of him being racist in the past. There was history of him being aggressive with people in the past. And, you know, Omaha police had not been following up on him properly. So this guy who knew the murderer, who's oh God, what was that guy's name? Jake Gardner. Okay. Jake Gardner, who ended up dying by suicide right before his indictment. He was officially indicted, and he committed suicide in Portland. I think if I remember that before the trial happened. Yeah, he was. Well, initially they weren't going to charge him, and then someone else took over the case. So the guy that I spoke to in regards to Jake Gardner, he was like, this guy is dangerous. I want to talk to someone about how like this guy was a ticking time bomb all along, basically as a character witness as to why this guy needs to be charged. Mm-hmm. And so I spoke to him. He gave me like all this audio from times that he had reported this guy to other people.
And nothing had been done.
No. I mean, the most like, and the people he was reporting them to, like this guy like acted a fool with him like at a restaurant that he was working at or whatever. And so like he told his management, because he was working at the restaurant, and this Jake Gardner was like a regular patron who acted a complete fool. Mm-hmm. Came in, like got in the guy's face and everything, was mad aggressive, and again had a history of behaving this way. And so the recording was of him talking to his management about it. He was like, I think this guy is dangerous. He's armed to the teeth. He's mad aggressive and everything. Like something's wrong with him. Yeah, like it was all very much so predicted. So like I gathered his full account because I interviewed him. I gathered his full account and everything, and then also put it together with the footage and the evidence that was already out in the universe and the audio, published it on Audacity, and like got people talking about James Skurlock and how he needed to be, you know, he needed to get his justice and everything for, you know, what this guy did to him. And when they finally decided that they were going to move forward, so initially the state was not going to indict him. Like the DA at the time was like, oh no, like I think he felt like he was just protecting himself. Like it was technically like right by his property line, blah, blah, blah. Just a bunch of bullshit, right? Mm-hmm. And so from there, people were getting ready to riot. And so they ended up taking the DA off the case. And I think the family, if I recall correctly, and James Skurlock's family, if you are listening, if y'all did not do this, forgive me for like misinformation right now. This is completely unintentional. But a different attorney ended up taking on the case and like put out a public announcement saying like, hey, if you have audio, if you have footage, if you have this and this, send it. And so the article was already published and running. And I took the article and sent it to the DA, not to the DA, but to the attorney that was prosecuting the whole thing. I sent it to the prosecutor. I was like, please enter this into evidence. There's audio on here from a character witness about this man. And he was like, thank you so much, Jessica. I'm going to put this in evidence.
Bam.
And of course, after that, Jake Gardner commits suicide and can't be prosecuted any longer. But
you know.
I would say that was probably like what I feel like as a journalist was like a really my favorite word. Yeah. And I really don't like stuff like that, to be honest. I like doing more of like the lifestyle stuff, but like that one I just felt like was super important.
Yeah. Does that like, I mean, you say you don't do that often, but you know, is that like one of the things that you appreciate about Audacity, is that you're able to do that kind of thing?
Yeah. I'd say so, because I don't know, I feel like in other situations where I write for other people or I write for other entities, it's always like trying to massage it to not make people uncomfortable, or to try to like, you know, be more like, I guess, like politically correct. And politically correct just means like, you know, it means one of two things. It either means, you know, it's a person who's probably racist who is trying to be like, oh, I have to be politically correct about everything. I'm like, okay, so you're just hateful. And not even hateful, you're careless is actually what it is. You're careless. So it's for one of those people. Or it's for folks like us who don't want to make white people uncomfortable. And I believe in making white people uncomfortable. Like, if you can't be uncomfortable, you can't evolve. Like, you can't. You can't be an ally if you can't get uncomfortable.
Everything is on the other side of comfort.
Yeah. So I do like when I do have to write about those things, because I don't necessarily enjoy it, because something bad has to happen in order to do all that, right? So what I like about it, and what I like about being able to do whatever content I want is that, for one thing, I know what the backdrop is, right? Everybody's like, well, what does that have to do with millennials in business? Or like, you know, what does that have to do with careers and lifestyle and everything? I was like, these very things will affect our money, and these very things will affect how we show up to work to make money. People don't understand
how much things trickle down.
Yeah.
It's really a trickle down effect.
Everything works together. And so that's the thing that I enjoy about like making whatever content I want. Like, I don't have to be politically correct, because I just have to be correct, and I am.
And you're the boss. You don't have to go through anybody.
Well, not even that, but like, because like, if I was like a supervillain, I could probably be a really dangerous person, right? But like, I don't consider myself the hero or the villain. I consider myself the bystander who does the right thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about it, is that like, I know for a fact that I have the power to do the right thing, and there's not an extra hoop that I have to jump through if I use my platform to do it.
Now, that's what you like, but what are the challenges?
Oh.
Yeah. What are the challenges? And not even like creatively, just, I mean, yeah, they can be creatively, but just operations wise, like, you know, what are some of those?
I mean, honestly, like money. We going like, I'm not even gonna water it down. Money like, yeah, like I think just like any other small business, like if I had more money, I could use more hands. You know what I mean? Like, I could automate some things. I could expand my marketing and therefore expand my reach and therefore catch more customers and catch more subscribers. Because we have people who are enjoying the free content, but we're also looking to catch paid subscribers for $10.99 a month. You know what I mean? And one thing that I have noticed, just like in this last year or so, especially now with the recession and everything, community is very hard to sell. It's very like, there are times where I'm just like, damn, I should just like make candles on Etsy. Like,
it is a very tough thing. It's an extremely tough thing.
Yeah. So that would be one. And like, in addition to that, like just kind of doing a little bit of everything. Like, I do have a social media manager, and I do have our resident book club curator. You've seen like kind of like our books of the month and everything like that. So like, it's helpful because on that end, she's helping me get content for the magazine now. Like, that's 2 pieces of content I can reliably have every single month, right? But, you know, a little bit more money, I could pay more writers, and I could have more people. You know, I could have more content, you know. I could pay people to do more stuff for me so that I can have my hands free to really go out and like, you know, sell these subscriptions and things like that. So like,
shake some hands, kiss some babies.
You know, so like, I think that would be the challenging thing. Like, it's no different than anybody else. You know, like it's time, it's money, it's you know, really trying to like, and like just full transparency, like having to convince people that you have a good idea.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah. I'm like, just show up to the event. You'll see. Like, pull up to the event and you'll see how great it is. I promise you. Speaking
of events, so you have the networking events.
Yes.
How did that come about? How did you figure out, you know what, we should, because that's not very common that outlets have, like yours have networking events.
Yeah.
How did you come about that? Like,
the last couple of magazines I worked for, so I've worked for 2 or 3 other magazines before I started my own, and they were very smart to host events because for one thing, like it brings in revenue because you don't make money usually on your content unless somebody does like a paid article or like an ad or something like that, and so it helps to get out into the community to show your face and to show people what you have going on. So like it's beneficial for business one. And so I learned that very quickly working with other magazines. And in addition to that, it keeps people engaged, like getting, it gets people to want to be like, okay, like, so what are they doing next? So like, it's good for that. In addition to that, I actually hate networking events. And I host them. I hate networking events. And the reason I hate them is because none of them are like mine. And when I say that, I mean that 9 times out of 10, if you're going to a networking event, it's with a bunch of like old, 60 and up men in suits, like at a horrifying hotel conference room that is entirely too hot or too cold.
Or the bar, the hotel bar. Yeah,
like,
that's true.
That kind of thing. Or, in addition to that, it costs like $100 to get into the event, like to get into these conferences or lunches. Like they're not convenient usually for your time at work. Like it was like, oh, like we're having a luncheon. I'm like, that's great. Some people can't go to luncheons. Yeah. Some people have to actually go to work.
I hate networking events.
Yeah, like I hate stuff like that. So what I wanted to do was set it up to where people could network at their leisure and and network where they could afford it. Like our events never cost more than $35. In fact, I don't even think I've sold a $35 ticket just yet. Not quite. Like close. We'll be there soon. Yeah. But like our events never cost more than $35. It's an Uber. Like it costs about like an Uber. Yeah. And that's the main reason is that a lot of these networking events were not affordable for people our age, like
or enjoyable.
Yeah, or enjoyable. Like no one liked them. They weren't authentic. 9 times out of 10, you like go home with a handful of business cards and you don't talk to anybody anymore. At my events, people exchange Instagrams.
There you go.
They're already helping each other by following each other and engaging with each other's content. And then because they're engaging with each other's content on social media, they are now like, oh, like I want to see what this person has going on next. I'm going to buy their product or I'm going to attend their event next. And what I love about Audacity is that like our people show up for people. We show up, we buy stuff, like we will be there. Yes.
Community.
It's a real community.
Community. Good. So, throughout your like Audacity success and even leading up, were there any like role models or like anybody that you like inadvertently looked up to or they, any mentors or anything like that?
Yes. So as far as like people that I don't know, of all people, my inspiration for Audacity was Freddie Mercury and Queen.
Okay. Explain.
Well, what I really like, they were just so audacious. Like they were absolutely audacious. Like there was no one like Freddie Mercury at his time coming up. There was simply nobody like him. And he was so brave for like, the way that he dressed and the way that like he sang and everything. He didn't have like the most, like conventional look and everything like that. He was the son of immigrants and their sound was literally whatever they wanted to be. They're like, yeah, it's still rock and roll, but it's also opera. Like the Bohemian Rhapsody is like a whole like plethora of genres all into one. There's also a line from I Want It All where he's like, here's to the future, to the dreams of youth. And that's always how I feel about Audacity. It's like, we are like the people that everyone wants to like infantilize. Yeah. Like people still look at me as a kid. I'm 28. I'm going to be 29 in 2 weeks. Like, and I know that I'm young, but I am not a child. Right. I'm paying mortgage just like everybody else.
Look, got bills.
I'm in a homeowners association. Yeah. Like, I am not a kid anymore. Right. And I think a lot of times, very much like most millennials and Gen Zers now as well, like we are often not taken as seriously or given opportunities because of our age. And Freddie Mercury and Queen started off relatively young. They started off in college, and it took them a long time to get to where they needed to be because folks were simply not taking them seriously because they were too different or they were too unconventional. So as far as people I don't know, Freddie Mercury and Queen is
that is a extremely, that one blew me away. That's a good one though.
I'm an undercover rock star, by the way.
Okay. Interesting.
I don't play guitar or anything like that, but like if we were at karaoke, like that is what I'm doing. I'm singing Queen. But yeah. In addition to that, as far as people like who are actually in my life, definitely my parents. Okay. My parents have always been supportive of whatever like harebrained scheme I come up with and take me seriously about it until I am no longer serious about it anymore.
That's important.
Yeah.
That's important. They're like, oh, okay, just.
Yeah, they don't do like a whole like, okay, get out of here. You know, they're like, okay, well, like, and they challenge me always to flesh it out. They're like, okay, well, what is it that you want to do? How do you want to do it? Is there any way that we can help you with it? Would you like to do it yourself? Okay, great, no problem.
Are you the only child?
No, I'm one of two. I'm the oldest though.
Oh, okay. Oldest girl?
Of two girls, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Unless we're counting the dog. May Teddy rest in peace. He was a boy.
Oh,
but
R.I.P.
Yeah, but yeah, one of two girls.
Okay. No, that's extremely important that they actually like, okay, you have an idea, let's figure out how to execute.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a really good thing.
Yeah. In addition to them, I also, as far as people who like really like inspire me, she's gonna kill me for talking about her, but I would also say my little sister. My little sister is like my beneficiary on everything, and I always say like she's my first baby. She's like, wait, am I your baby? I was like, girl, you're my first baby, as if I have babies.
Yeah.
But like she will always be like, you know, the person that I take care of the most. And like whenever I think about like how I want to build a life, I want to build a life that me and my sister can enjoy. And she's in medical school. She's going to be fine. Okay. Like, she's absolutely going to be fine. But I'm like, I feel just so like, I want to build a life for me and my sissy, you know? So I would definitely say that she's like a lot of like the reason that I push, for sure. In addition to that, like, as far as like my mentors and things like that, because my parents have been a great help, of course. And then in addition to that, like my aunts and my uncles and everything, like they're great people.
Right.
Just in general, like good people. And I see how hard they have worked, and I want to set myself up to where like I am working very hard, but I don't have to keep working as hard. You know, I think with every generation, something should get better or something should get easier. And I think everyone in my family has done very, very well for themselves. And I'm very honored to be a part of my family on both sides. And with that, I would say, okay, now how can I elevate my family? How can I create a generational pattern and a generational wealth and break more generational curses? Like, what can I do next to contribute to the family?
That's admirable, actually.
You.
Yeah. So how do you think being the owner of Audacity has, like, benefited your, like, personal growth? 'Cause that's a tough one.
I have realized that sometimes I am too nice. And I don't even consider myself a nice person. No, I don't. Okay. I consider myself kind. I consider myself generous, caring, loving, you know, like good to people. But I do not consider myself to really be like a nice person. My problem is that even though I'm not necessarily like a nice person, I have manners. I'm Southern.
Oh, yeah.
I'm polite and I believe in manners. Yeah, you know, like, oh, you know, like you don't make too much of a scene and everything. And like, you know, you don't make anything bigger than what it needs to be. You know, you keep it civil and blah, blah, blah. And as a business owner, if you really want your business to get somewhere, you can't always be polite and have good manners and everything like that, especially because folks are going to try you. Like, there's no nice way to say that. There's no nice way to say that. Yeah. Like, folks are going to try you. And I think one of the things that I've noticed is that there are times where I've had too much patience for things that I'm asking for with others when it comes to my business. And in general with my own life, like, I'm a Leo, so I'm very much so about, like, you know, loyalty. Like, if I decide, like, okay, like, if I fuck with you, I fuck with you, right? And even if you do something wrong, I'm going to give you another chance to get yourself together. I'm going to ask you why you behave that way. And to a level, I think that's a great quality, an admirable quality, but it also means I'm hard-headed and I don't know when to get rid of people.
You always need that. Yeah. I need you to tell me why.
Not even that I need you to tell me why. Like, I want to see you do better. Like, I want to see you improve. I want to see you follow through on the things that you want to do.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, and there is some folks who just... maybe they do want to improve and they do want to do things differently, but they don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
They don't want to do the work that's required to get there. They don't want to make themselves uncomfortable enough to get to where they need to be. And you just end up sounding crazy trying to get in places.
J. Cole says something that was actually very interesting once. He said, loving somebody is wanting more for them than they want for themselves. And that's a tough one. That's a tough place to be at.
Yeah.
And, no, I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you. That's a hard one. So switching gears to something a little more lighter, what allows you to recharge, like with Audacity? You run a business, you work 9 to 5. What allows you to recharge in order to be that better founder for your company and to better you? Like, what allows you outside of Audacity?
Oh, these are some of the more fun ones. I've been over here sweating up a storm trying to be like, okay, let me make sure I'm dialed in. Yeah. Okay, this is where it gets fun. Okay. Cool. Well, it's been fun the whole time, of course. But,
thank you.
Yeah, I'm having a great time. Thank you. But to answer your question, a couple of things. I like to cook.
Okay.
I like to cook. And I'm definitely a glam girl. I'm definitely a little bit of a diva, but I also like to go outside. Okay. So definitely like getting outside from time to time, changing my scenery is good for recharging. Traveling every now and then, I just want to take like I take multiple trips throughout the year, but every now and then I'm like, okay, I'm just going to work for these next 2 weeks before my trip so that I'm not touching anything while I'm there. And for the most part, that tends to work out for me. And then very specifically, I take one solo trip every year.
Okay.
I pick a place. I tell the people who need to know where I'm going, and I go out there and I literally do exactly what I want to do, and I don't work.
It's nice. I think my last solo trip was before I was married, was Nashville. I went to go see Herbie Hancock.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm. Nice. That was a good one. But me and my wife we love traveling. We
nice.
Acting a fool. No, we really do. It's great. So I want to go back to what I was talking about originally when you said, this is a long story about how Audacity came to be. I was like, no, it's a journey. It's a movie. So Audacity was turned into a movie.
Oh, God.
Who's playing you?
First of all, thank you, Jesus. I got a movie. Yes. Well, if not me, then, I would say Gabrielle Union.
Interesting. Okay.
I get compared to her a lot. Like, it's the voice, it's the dimples, it's the mannerisms.
Okay, I
You're
can
seeing
see
it now, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. But I don't know. Like, I also I know Gabrielle Union is a little bit older than me at this point, and so if I wanted somebody who was going to play me in my 20s, Gabrielle Union could certainly play me in my 30s, because she don't crack at all.
This is very true.
But I think we're asking a lot to ask her to play a 20-something-year-old at this point. Like, it's just it
so
just
what
doesn't
do you think
make sense.
Bring it on,
right? That was 20 years ago, wasn't it? Oh my God.
Yeah.
But so maybe Coco Jones.
Interesting. Okay.
I feel like that could work.
Yeah, I can see that.
I keep thinking, I was like, let's see, who's somebody looks a little bit like me that could do that? Yeah, Coco Jones probably.
Coco Jones.
I like her.
All right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, other than Audacity being, it's very out here. I see it all the time when I'm scrolling social media, which is a great thing.
Good.
What's next?
For Audacity, for my life, for
any of them.
Oh God. Okay, I'll start with the easy stuff with Audacity. Next steps for Audacity is more professional development workshops, more pop-up shops, and online courses.
Okay. Good.
We have a resume masterclass on the way.
That's a good one.
I will be teaching that one for a change. I usually get a guest to come in. I will be teaching it, and I will be funneling everybody to my Fiverr account because I've decided to become a resume queen as well. Or not decided to become. That's actually, so I have been working on other people's resumes since I was in grad school. That's one of the ways I made extra money in grad school. I would do people's resumes for them. So now I'm like, I could just put this on Fiverr and actually do services.
And make some money.
Exactly. So I am launching the resume masterclass where you will learn how to audaciously make your resume, how to make your resume audacious. Yes. You'll make your resume very audacious. And from there, I will, if you want extra assistance, I will funnel you to my Fiverr.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what's next for Audacity. Definitely more of a knowledge giving versus knowledge sharing like we were doing in the past. Roundtable Talk is gone. For those of y'all who watched Roundtable Talk or came to Roundtable Talk, it's over. It's never coming back. It was cute. It's over now.
It's over.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. This is a lot.
I know, right?
This is a lot. This is a great interview, though. Jessica Wise, the founder of Audacity. Thank you so much for coming on For All We Know. And you know what it is? Be yourself because everyone else is taken.
Cheers.
Yep. I think I got it at the top. Yes, 5 minutes.